What's up, Strategic Freedom? We are about to dive into a new video here. Bear with me, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty, but looks like we're ready to roll here. All right, so we have a tip that we're going to start off with, and then we're going to dive into just kind of overall strategy with Strategic Freedom. So, Coach DC here. Great to see you again. Again, we want to just make sure that we're always providing you a good, valuable tip as far as something for your business and then something long term as well. That's why we call it Strategic Freedom. We want to give you some actionable steps now as far as what you could be doing in your business. Again, we focus on business owners. And then what we're going to talk about is, protect, preserve, prosper. Our program, really what we focus on, I always want to provide value on these videos. So first and foremost, when we look at today's tip, you'll see here, we just talked about on the screen, your business is making money. Are you keeping it? And so what I'm going to talk to you today about is running a monthly audit of your expenses. Super important. All right. So again, no matter what size your business is, you're going to have expenses, right? Some of them will be fixed. They'll be basically the same thing every month. Some are going to be somewhat variable. Again, that might be ad spend, that might be payroll. I'm going to encourage you, or if not you, maybe your general manager, someone that you're going to put in charge of monitoring this. I actually like to incentivize whoever's in charge of this because, again, the more profitable your business, the better the bottom line, the better the healthier the business is overall. So if we can cut down on wasted expense, overhead, anything like that, that's why we're running the audit. Again, if it's not you, the owner, if you're going to have someone else do it, I would incentivize them to make sure that they can maximize the profit margin. They will go the extra mile to negotiate a bill with your phone or internet carrier. They will go the extra mile to fix a problem on payroll. They will go the extra mile to negotiate better overall expense, ad spend, whatever the case may be, if they have a financial incentive there. So again, you want to make sure that you or someone else is monthly auditing all expenses. Again, some examples are going to be utilities, rent, again, whatever the case may be as far as rent own, it could be your insurance of your building, if you own the building outright. So again, anything like that, insurance, ad spend, payroll, utilities, all examples of that. The biggest things I see that get missed are going to be any changes. Anytime you make changes to payroll, you got to watch the payroll company. A lot of times they will think you mean one thing in a change, and then they will actually do something else. So whether it be an hourly pay, salary issue, whatever the case may be, always follow up and watch that. Another one is going to be subscriptions, right? So again, your business might have subscriptions for various things, various reasons. We may think we have canceled one. We may no longer need a subscription. Again, even if it's something small, it's the principle. You don't want to have money leaking out of your business. You want to make sure that it's being watched, and you want to make sure that, again, you're maximizing profits. That's the key here. Doesn't matter how much your business generates, it's how much it profits, right? So we want to make sure that that profit margin is going to be high. And again, it helps to put someone in charge of that who has skin in the game in order to make sure they're going to go the extra mile. So that's my main tip I want to go over with you today before I get into just a little bit more of our core principles at Strategic Freedom. So again, you can see protect, preserve, prosper. That's what our focus is. When we talk to our clients, again, it always starts with number one, protection, right? And so I always call this, and I love this part about it, is get your house in order, right? So number one, do you even know what your business is worth? Do you know what assets you own, whether that be personal or through the business? So again, you got to number one, know what you have, know what you hold, and then you need to make sure that you guard it or protect it. All right. And so again, that first thing, get your house in order. And again, that's going to be making sure that you just have all your list of assets. That's when we work with clients. It's one of the first things we ask for. List all your assets, list all your liabilities. Okay. So again, major part of our program is just laying it all out there so that we can then strategically go through and see, number one, if it's properly protected. Number two, if there's a way that we could more efficiently utilize or invest that money there or that asset. Number two is entity structuring to separate personal business assets. Again, if your business gets sued, you do not want it to affect you personally. We just recorded a video on this recently as far as business structure and all of that, but that's another part of the service that we provide. We want to make sure that, number one, that you're separating your personal and business assets in the event you do face a lawsuit. Number two, there's tax efficiencies there as well. And then number three, we often find that people are double insuring things. So for instance, like if you have a certain amount of insurance for your building in your business, but you also find out that that could be covered under a different umbrella policy that you have, you could be doubly insured again, which isn't the worst thing, but you'd like to be efficient with where you are properly insured. Do you have enough? Is it enough? And then you're not double paying or overpaying for something that you no longer need. Again, we look at different things like liability shields. Again, proper insurance in place. These are all scenarios. Like, what if something were to happen to you? Do you have disability insurance? Do you have proper health insurance? All of these different things that, as far as I'm concerned, like we can be a better business owner. We can be a better uh, person behind growing our business or scaling our business when we have peace of mind. If you're always worried about, do I have enough? Am I properly insured? All these different things. Like by getting yourself to that point, it allows you to have like a clear mind that then you can go and focus on, whether it be mentoring your team or growing your business or acquiring new business, whatever the case may be. And then from a personal standpoint, and again, I always kind of preface this, like we don't necessarily, we're not necessarily the best fit for some large corporation. The coaching that we provide, and again, I want to be clear, we are not financial professionals, we are not insurance professionals. We are consultants that are able to help with certain scenarios for business owners. But one thing I found that with certain business owners, they have a hard time getting loans, or they have a hard time getting financing when they need it, or when they need it, it takes too long to get, for instance, an SBA loan, whatever the case may be. So you'll see on the side here, we talk about life insurance. Now, again, there's multiple layers to life insurance and there's multiple opinions on life insurance. But one thing that we do feel very high about is dividend paying whole life insurance, and this idea of creating your own bank, right? And so over the years, I have invested in whole life insurance for multiple reasons. The obvious reason of, if I die or something were to happen to me, my family will get a large sum of money to cover expenses. And so, first and foremost, life insurance, whether it be term or whole life insurance, that's like your most basic thing that you need to make sure that you have your proper protection. But number two, and the big thing a lot of people are not aware of, is you can create your own bank with dividend paying whole life insurance, meaning that you can add cash value to your policy. And then over time, you are able to actually borrow from that cash value. And really the way it works is you get a loan from the insurance company while your cash or while your money stays in that policy, compounding at a pretty solid interest rate. So you borrow money from that, you can put it into your business. Really, you could buy a house, you could do whatever you want with it. And then you're paying yourself back. So you are still paying interest, but you're paying it back to your own policy. So you actually benefit both ways. Your money stays in there because you're borrowing from the life insurance company. Your money stays in there. And what it does is it continues to compound interest. But then as you pay interest payments back to your policy or back to the insurance company, it's going to be benefiting your policy as well. So there's a win-win there. And again, we go into some nuances with that in our program. Pillar two is preserve. Again, big part of this is, again, back to protection. We need to know what we hold. We need to know what assets we hold, what our worth is, our net worth, our business, all these different things. Number two is we need to preserve that. And as we add assets and more cash to our our wealth, we want to make sure we preserve that. Now, again, there's two things here that are going to erode or destroy you or wreck you in the future. One is going to be taxes. Two is going to be inflation. All right. So again, we talk about preserving our wealth. They're the two things that are going to kill you. In the last 15 years, on average, our purchasing power is decreasing by 7% every year due to inflation. Keep in mind, we have a Federal Reserve in our country, which, again, there's a whole lot we can go into with that. They are printing money. They are creating money out of thin air. All right. And that's part of, we are in a debt-based financial system. And so that's how they create money. And so we want to make sure that as they create more liquid money and lower interest rates and things like that, it erodes our purchasing power. So the cash you have sitting, wherever it may be sitting, is losing value. 7% on average over the last 15 years. So wherever your investments are, you need to be earning higher than 7% in order to stay afloat. So again, we talked in previous videos, a big part of our consulting is on keeping more of your money through tax strategies, tax planning, that sort of thing. But again, the other part of this is we have to make sure that we are mindful of inflation. So again, a major thing you're going to hear me say in every single video is we need to be investing in deflationary assets. We've talked about this in the past: real estate, gold, silver. Could be more businesses. Not just the business that we're in, but that would be a deflationary asset. Because again, as the dollar is worth less, we need to raise our prices. Okay, so we can compete with inflation that way. And then a big thing again, and I know this can be controversial. It shouldn't be, but it could be. You need to look at what's going on around you. Every single week in Washington, D.C., there is major, major news in the technological space and how our financial system's becoming more digital. All right. You can't escape this. Cryptocurrencies are the future. Okay. That's where it's going. And something like Bitcoin grows at an insane amount overall, like 50% a year over the last 3 years. Again, you need to make sure that you understand this. And we'll go more into this. And this is part of our program as well, is that we look at, okay, where are the deflationary assets? Obviously, real estate's one of them. People know real estate's through the roof. And that has happened over the last several years here as the BlackRocks of the world and so on and so forth have bought more single family homes. It's become unaffordable for many people to buy a single family home. But again, you can see the value in real estate has gone up quite a bit. And so again, that's something we're keeping our eye on. But then the cryptocurrencies, the stable coins, all these different things, you got to pay attention. You got to make sure that you're watching. And specifically, I watch the Trump family. I watch Howard Lutnick. You can watch even greats like Ray Dalio, who's always been a commodities, stock. Bridgewater is his company. So again, you watch what they're doing, even the Warren Buffetts, all these different people, and you watch what they're doing. Me personally, I feel like the Trump family, the President Trump and his kids know more than I do as far as where things are headed. And if you saw on Monday of this week, September 2nd, I believe, or that was Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, they actually released their World Liberty financial stablecoin. Okay, so again, they are heavily, heavily involved in this as far as where this is headed. And they've actually moved a lot of their money out of real estate into crypto and that whole entire financial digital space. So again, we need to make sure we're paying attention to that. And then again, pillar 3 is prosper. Again, we need to change our mindset, change our focus from a consumer or, a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this as well. You're a business owner and you're basically like, you're just working hard. You put your nose to the grindstone, you work hard. That's how you built your business. So you're of that mindset. I need to trade time for money. But ultimately, as we get further along in our wealth journey, we need to make sure that we're making our money work for us. We need to change our mindset to an investor mindset. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki talks about this. You have your W-2 earners, you have your business owners who get taxed at a very high level. You look at your professionals, doctors, lawyers, they get taxed very, very high. And so again, we need to become the mindset of an investor. If you look at the tax rates for investors and business owners that are using strategies are actually very advantageous. Again, we want to have cash flowing investments that are going to pay us while we sleep. You've probably heard that term before. You want to make money while you sleep. We can't always trade time for money. So again, as we save money in taxes, we want to invest that money in deflationary assets. So we're fighting inflation as well. And then we're building cash flowing investments that are going to pay us while we sleep. And then we want to layer our wealth. Okay. So again, you don't want to have everything in one thing. There's a lot of people that would tell you put all your wealth in Bitcoin right now. They may be right. They may be wrong. It's hard to say. But again, we want to have some layers and we want to have some protection layers there. So again, I would never put everything in one bucket, but you want to make sure that you're layering your wealth. Okay. And again, we want to make sure that we're mitigating taxes perpetually. It's not just a year by year thing. And again, how do we do that? If you look the wealthy, the way they have generational wealth and they pass it on to their heirs and so on and so forth, they don't sell their assets. They hold their assets. Again, real estate, businesses, gold, crypto, all these different things, they hold onto these assets. And then when you need money or you need access to money, they borrow against the asset. Okay. So again, for instance, with Bitcoin has gone up. It's like in the 115, 112 range right now. If, I do have some Bitcoin, if I need access to liquidity, I can borrow against the Bitcoin, knowing that as long as it continues, again, and all crypto is volatile, but again, Bitcoin has been steadily increasing. And All the people that told us, oh, Bitcoin's for drug dealers and Bitcoin's for illegal activity and all that, they all own it now. The elites all own Bitcoin. The Trump family, I want to say, is the number 6 biggest holder in Bitcoin now. Howard Lutnick is going to be a billionaire in Bitcoin, who, again, Secretary of not Treasury or Commerce. I always get mixed up, but these people. Part of Donald Trump's cabinet is Howard Lutnick, who's the head of Cantor Fitzgerald. So again, major wealth, and these guys know more. I'm telling you, they know more than we do. And they're putting major investments into Bitcoin. China is one of the top 5 owners of Bitcoin. So it's not going anywhere. I promise you that. And so, again, borrowing against your Bitcoin, okay, as that Bitcoin becomes more valuable, your debt that you're paying back becomes less. And again, you still need cash flow to pay it back, but it's a non-taxable loan as well. So again, we want to make sure we borrow against those assets. Never sell those assets. Okay, never sell those assets. So again, these are just some of the principles that we have in our program. Again, you built it, now keep it. I'm going to just close with we do a free discovery session with you. All right, this is not a long phone call; it could be a 15-minute phone call. Basically, it's just getting a gauge for where you are in your business, where you are with your journey as far as creating cash flow, creating protections around your wealth, all these different things, and then knowing where you're going with a plan. Again, this is what we specialize in for business owners. So again, free discovery session. That will be a 15-minute phone call where we basically say, hey, are we a good fit for one another? You can contact us through our email, strategicfreedom1@gmail.com, or our website, strategicfreedomconsulting.com. We are just launching a YouTube channel, which is Strategic Freedom. We are launching our social media. So again, you'll be seeing more and more of this content coming forward. But please, go ahead and reach out, and we'll get working together.